Hello, sir. You're audible.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, you are audible.
Okay.
Sir, your mic is mute, sir. We are unable to hear.
Or is it audible?
Noise. Hello.
Hello. Hello,
Hello, sir.
sir.
Sir, you are audible, sir. Please continue the class.
Yeah, sir. Please continue the class.
Yeah. So actually, I want to upload the PPT, but it is not accepting. Why, I don't know.
Is there share screen option in your mobile, sir?
Yes, screen I'm sharing it, but still it is. I'll check once again. So
Better if you join the meet with laptop now.
is it clear? Yeah, laptop. I'm starting, but it is not working. Why, I don't know. This is not accepting it.
Yeah.
Is it visible, sir?
Yeah, it is visible. Your mobile screen is visible.
Yeah, I'm trying to start with this one.
I think the app is blocking the share screen. I think. Yeah, sir. It is visible. The slides are visible.
Okay. Actually, I started in the last week in the same manner, but there was a network issue. I stopped there itself.
So this is the first class.
No, actually, last Saturday I started. I tried a lot.
Okay.
There also the problem occurred. So I left in the middle.
Okay. So today, which topic we are discussing?
Yeah.
What is the topic today?
So actually, our subject itself is a quantitative technique.
Yeah.
Right. In that, the first I want to start about the statistics itself. What is statistics? Because under the statistics, only the quantitative techniques appears. So statistics is a field of study that deals with the collection, organization, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of the data. So this collection of data, then organizing it means making it in a proper way, then presenting it whoever requires the data according to them. We are going to analyze it for a particular future reference purpose. So that is interpreted in the form of statement. So how it is useful and where it is useful. So most of the situations it is useful in every field, we can say, like an application in the business and economics. If you see as a next slide, as an accounting, where public accounting firms use statistical sampling procedures when conducting an audits for their clients. Similarly, in the economists use statistical information in making forecasts about the future of the economy or some aspects of it. So like every field, it is required, it is necessary. So the collection of data for a particular purpose, which is used for future references. For that purpose, whatever the data we are collected in the raw format, that is arranged in a proper way and presenting to the required people how they require. In that way, will present it. Even in the marketing, if you go, it is applicable, where the electronic point of sales scanners at retail checkouts. Counters are used to collect the data for a variety of marketing research applications. Similarly, the production. So if you see the production, there are so many things we require for the estimation purpose. Like if you want to produce a product, how much of the raw material we require, that can be estimated with the previous records. So that previous records is nothing but the data which we used to collect it from the already produced products. So the data whichever is available in the manufacturing concerns, from there we'll be collecting it, we'll be arranging it, and we'll be estimating it based on that data. So even in the production, a variety of statistical quality control charts are used to monitor the output of a production process. Like that, every field we are using the statistical techniques which is used to analyze and presenting for future reference purpose. So for that reason, we are using some techniques which are called as a quantitative techniques. So the data and data sets. So data means are the facts and the figures collected, summarized, analyzed, and interpreted. And the data collection in a particular study are referred to the data set. So that means what? The data whichever is collected for a particular purpose of study, we have made or arranged it in a proper way is a data set. So set of data which is collected for a particular purpose. So the data is required for everything. So that is in the form of a numerical. So in the numerical, whatever we are collecting and presenting it is a statistics. So that statistical techniques we are going to learn as in the form of a quantitative techniques. So for that purpose, we require to know, we need to know what are elements, what are variables, and what are observations. So the elements are the entities on which the data are collected. Entities, nothing but the organizations where we are getting the information that is collected in the form of a data. right? That those are the elements, and the variable is the characteristics of interest for the elements. Means whatever the data we collected, in that a proper information we require, and that information, like an example, we are collecting the information from a college, that how many students have been joined in a particular course. So that particular course, whatever we selected, is a variable. Elements is nothing but the total data, that means the total information of the college, where from that one stream or one course information we require, that is normally called as a variable. And the set of measurements collected for a particular element is called an observation. Means we want to know in that course, whoever joined, how many people have been appeared for the examination and how many people have cleared the examination. So that is the observation part, what we have to do in the data. So element, variable, and the observations. So these are the terms which we'll be using it in the quantitative techniques. And the total number of data values in a complete data set is the number of elements multiplied with the number of variables. So this is upon the information whatever we are getting it from that, we will be using it in the future for different purposes. So at that moment we can do the calculation part, that will be doing it based on the data which we are collecting from an element, making it as a variable and observing about it. Theoretically, we'll discuss first, then later on we'll do the numerical part. So what are all these things? First, we should know. See, from the data, which are called as an elements, which are variables, which are observations. You can see in this next slide, whatever you can. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Right. Thank you. So the elements are nothing but the companies in that datagrams, energy source, keystone, like that. The company names, those are all the organizations which we are selecting it. In that individual term, whichever we require is a variables. In that, what we are observing it as a stock exchange market, we are observing it what is going on in the market for a particular company in that particular share. So that is an observation. Then how to measure it? The measurement of scales. Scale of measurement include nominal, ordinal, intervals, and the ratio. So the scale determines the amount of information contained in the data. Means how much required, how much is necessary for the observation purpose. The data whichever we selected. In that data, we are selecting to measure it as a measurement of scale. That scale is decided based on the information. And the scale indicates the data summarization and statistical analysis that are most appropriate. Means for a particular information, which scale has to be selected. Is it a nominal? Is it an ordinal? Or we need to go with the ratio or an interval. So it depends upon the data and the required information, we can select the scale. But these are the 4 different types of scales. University are classified by the school in which they are enrolled using a non-numerical label such as business, humanities, education, and so on. Or else a numerical code could be used for the school of a school variable. Example, 1 is denoted for the business, 2 is denoted for humanities, 3 is denotes for education, and so on. So what we are doing here, we are selecting the scale as a nominal scale, giving 1 for one type of organization in which business area is 1, humanities is 2, and education is 3. Like that, we can give the numbers to the different areas of education in a particular university. So that is a nominal scale, we can say. If you go with an ordinal scale, students of a university are classified by their class standing using a non-numerical label such as freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. Means it is not related to the stream. It is related to students in the university based on their seniority. So we can give the numbers to those things as 1 denotes for the freshman, 2 denotes for sophomore, and 3 junior, 4 senior. Like that, the numbers we are allocating to analyze it. Why all these things is required? To analyze the data, we are converting the total data into a numerical format. That is a quantitative format. So the scales which are deciding nominal, ordinal, or else an interval. If you want to select an interval, then the data have the properties of ordinal data, and the interval between observations is expressed in terms of a fixed unit of measure. Interval data is always numerical only. That can be selected, and the ratio scale. So the data have all the properties of interval, and the ratio of 2 values is meaningful. Like a variable such as distance, height, weight, and the time, use the ratio scale. And this scale must contain a 0 value that indicates that nothing exists for the variable at a 0 point. So there are the 4 scales which can be used to observe the data and analyze the data. So there we can see there are the 2 different types of data we'll be having. One is qualitative, another one is quantitative. So the data can be further classified as being qualitative or quantitative. Why? Because the statistical analysis that is appropriate depends on whether the data for the variable are qualitative or quantitative. Depends upon that only we can decide which scale is to be selected. And in general, there are more alternatives for statistical analysis when the data are qualitative or a quantitative. So most of the situation we'll be using the quantitative only, because everything is expressed in terms of numbers. Like salary of an employee is in terms of numbers, or a work of a worker is also in terms of numbers. Or if you want to find out the profit of the business is also in terms of number, loss also in terms of numbers. So everything is the data which we are going to select is most of the situation, it is quantitative only, not a qualitative. So for that reason, what we'll do is we'll collect the data in the numerical format. So qualitative data, if you go, there are some things which can't be expressed in terms of numbers, like labels or names used to identify an attribute of each element. Labels or names, name of the person, can't be expressed in numbers. Often referred to as a categorical data. So use either the nominal or ordinal scale of measurement. Can be either numeric or non-numerical. appropriate statistical analysis are rather limited. So qualitative data, most of the times it is a quality which can't be expressed in the numbers. The quantitative data indicates how many or how much. So mostly discrete if measuring how many, continuous if measuring how much. So quantitative data are always numerical, and the ordinary arithmetic operations are meaningful for quantitative data. So we can analyze it easily, the quantitative data rather qualitative data. So if that is also expressed in terms of numbers, then later on that also is useful for the calculation part or finding out the different values which are expressed in terms of numbers. As we discussed, as a scale of measurement, the data either qualitative or quantitative. If it is qualitative, numerical data is nominal or ordinal. Non-numerical is also nominal or ordinal scale. Whereas quantitative, mostly numerical only, interval and the ratio scales we are deciding. So that is for the collection of data, what we discussed till now. So the cross-sectional data are collected as the same or approximately the same point in time. Example, the data detailing the number of building premises or permits issued in June 2007 in each of the countries of OU. So that is about the overall data or cross-sectional data, which is collected at a point of time totally, how much or how many, which is numerical only. And the time series data are collected over several time periods. Example, the data detailing the number of building permits issued in Lucas country, OYO, in each of the last 36 months. Means in order, one after the other, orderly, if you are collecting it, then we can say it is in the time series data.
Based on the time.
Yeah, based on the time series. That is maybe the years, or it may be the months, or quarterly, or on half year. So it depends upon the requirement by the manager. So from where we can collect the data sources, that is existing sources, like within a firm, almost any department, if you go, particular department within that firm, what do you want to know? That can be collected in the form of a numbers. Business database services, as a Dow Jones and companies, the data you require, you can see on the system and you can collect it easily. Government agencies like US Department of Labor or any department of India, which we are collecting from particular department for particular purpose. Like a 10th class students, how many are up here? Like recently exam, group 4 exam, as in TSPSC is an organization or a government organization from which the people have collected, how many people have been applied for, and how many appeared and how many cleared, like that. So totally they gave as 9.5 lakh people have applied for the post, and 9.1 lakh people have written the examination, means appeared for the exam. So like that, the department is giving the information. If they are giving, that is in the form of numbers we collected and we are presenting it. Similarly, industry association like Travel Industry Association of America or other TSRTC data, like that, you are collecting an information from a particular departments for particular purpose. Special interest organization like Graduate Management Admission Council, Only from the council you need the information for further reference purpose. How many people have been joining it in a particular college for the graduate purpose, especially in the management, how many people, for science, how many people, like that, area wise, means special interest in a particular organization. Similarly, internet, more and more forms are there, more and more information you can collect from the internet. Whichever you want, you can get it from the internet. So these are all the data sources from where we can get the data, right? So we discussed about what is statistics, what is a data collection, what are the different scales applied to data, right? And the sources from where we can collect the data. Then after collecting it, data sources from the statistical, means for the statistical studies purpose. Like census work usually done by the government every 10 years. Nowadays, it is not doing it. Usually they used to collect the data by going to door of a particular houses in the area wise, collecting it manually. But now it has become automatically getting the information, because everything is on online information, that how many people have died, how many people have given a birth, so birth rate and the death rate, so total population of the country is automatically known by the system itself. Through the system we are getting it the information, but previously the people used to collect the data from the public, right? So for what purpose? For the future reference, what may be the population of the country. As you know, the India become the top in the population, means they have overwhelmed or exceeded the population of China also. Now India is the top in the growth rate, that means the total population of the countries. So that information is also given by the census people. So statistical studies, in experimental studies, the variable of interest is first identified. Then one or more other variables are identified and controlled so that the data can be obtained about how they influence the variable of interest. Like an example, if you are comparing the students of one school to the another school, so how much they are very much learners, and how much percentage of a particular school studied, appeared, and the past. So past percentage of one school compared with another school, if you want to do, this can be done by means of the statistical studies, right? So in experimental studies, we can use that variable and we can compare it and we can decide which one is useful for you. And in observational, that is the studies which are non-experimental, no attempt is made to control or influence the variables of interest. Like a survey is a good example, we can say. We'll do the survey to know what is going on. We can't control it, only we can do the survey like pollution of a particular area. We can do the survey as a sound pollution, air pollution, or water pollution, but controlling over it becomes very difficult. We can't do the experiment, but we can use the data and we can observe and we can give the information to the people. Now, if you go with this data acquisition considerations, time requirement, that is the data searching for information can be time consuming most of the time. Information may no longer be useful by the time it is available. Sometimes it is for the cost of acquisition. Like organizations often change for information even when it is not their primary business activity. Then the data errors. Using any data that happens to be available or were acquired with little care can lead to misleading the information. That is the data errors. Any changes in the data, if you make it, that makes to an data errors only. So actual data, whatever is there, that is used to find for future reference purpose. So most of the time, descriptive statistics are used. So descriptive, that is describing each and everything about the data. That is, are the tabular, graphical, and numerical methods used to summarize and the present the data is the descriptive statistics. And the scope of the statistics, apart from the methods comprising the scope of descriptive and inferential branches of statistics, statistics also consists of methods of dealing with the few other issues of specific nature. Since these methods are essentially descriptive in nature, so they have been discussed here as a part of the descriptive statistics, and they are mainly concerned with the following. Like example, it often becomes necessary to examine how two paired data sets are related. Like just now we discussed one school is compared with another school and which one is the best one in which we can put our children for the study purpose. That comparison and the situations occur quite often when we require an average of data on prices or quantities expressed in different units of measurement. Like if you are comparing the products for how much you are getting from a particular enterprise, like if you take an example of DMart or any other malls, comparing the prices where we are getting at the least price, there only we are going to buy it. So at that time we are comparing it oftenly, like averaging it, how much expenditure is going on, how much we are saving it if you are buying with the DMart. If you are going with a normal vendor shop and normal retailers, how much it is the cost. That comparison also, which we usually do it, most of the situations when wholesaler and retailer also buying it, there also their aim is in the same manner. So situations like this occurs at that moment also will use this data. And many a time it becomes necessary to examine the past performance of an activity with a view to determine the future behavior. This is mostly used by the doctors. What they used to do, they'll test a patient by giving a medicine. How it was previously a patient, now after giving or after giving the medicines to the patient, whether it is cured or not, whether it is completely cured or not. So that observation also can be done it by giving a medicines, and that company, those who are manufacturing a medicine, they'll be searching and they'll be taking the data, that is the feedback from the doctors, and that can be utilized for their future purpose, whether to produce it, whether to manufacture it or not. Similarly, the normal products which household goods also, the companies will observe, will be giving the products as a free samples first, observing it. If it is successful, then they are going to manufacture it for a particular number of quantities in the future. and obtaining the most likely future estimates on any aspects relating to a business or an economy activity has indeed been engaging the minds of all concepts. So what does it mean? Mostly the data which we are collecting it in the form of statistics, we usually use for a future reference purpose. That is what the statistics means: collecting, presenting in a systematical manner, applying some quantitative techniques on that, and deciding whether to use it or not in the future, or whether to produce it or not. If we want to produce it, how many number of units we want to produce it. All these things depends upon the data which we collected and the observation what we did it on the data. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, you're audible.
Sorry, pardon, please. Want to say something?
Yeah, you are audible, Vimal.
No, somebody is saying something I am unable to understand. Okay. Okay. So the importance of sorry, please. I can't understand the voice. I can't hear your voice. Those who are speaking at the back. Okay. Another part of it, the importance of statistics in businesses. So there are three major functions in any business enterprise in which the statistics or statistical method or quantitative techniques, we can say, that are useful. These are for the planning of operations, setting up of standards, or function of control. So we can say it easily that planning of operations. What may be the operations in the business? There are so many. If you'll take an example of manufacturing concern, like an example, if we'll take an example of manufacturing of a computer, they require the raw material one, that how many units they want to produce it. First, they'll be taking the information from the market as how many number of units they need to produce it. If they want to produce a 1 lakh units of computers, then for that 1 lakh units of computers, how much of the raw material they need to buy? How many people required to manufacture it? And apart from manufacturing, to pack the products also, they require on the packing materials and the packing places or packing machineries. Nowadays, every manufacturing concern is using machines instead of labor. So still labor is required to operate it, but anyhow, the people are using mostly the company's machineries only. So for that, what they require, they need to estimate how many units they need to manufacture it. For that, how much raw material they need to buy and how much of the labor they require, so that they can estimate the total budget required to buy and produce. So that planning is required in every operations. So buying the raw material is one operation, producing is another operations, packing is another operations, then distribution is also another operations, we can say, where supply chain management, how to do it, so that we can sell all the products in time to get more profits in their business. So all this is based on the estimation part only. That is, the planning is nothing but preparing the budget. So to prepare the budget, what they require the information, the data. That data is getting it from the manufacturing concern only, where they manufactured already in the business previously. So that data is collected and that is used for planning purpose, setting up of the standards purpose, and sometimes if the expenditure is incurred more than the planned one, how to control over the expenditure. For that also they can use the data whichever they collected and presented for the manager. So in the business, it is very much important for the estimation purpose, as for the future reference purpose, statistical techniques. Then that techniques are used. So mostly first one we can say measures of central tendency is the one of the technique we can say the quantitative technique, which is used after collecting the data to present it. Like an example, a student got 80% marks in the graduation, where he appeared for the examination and he got the result as 80% as the percentage of marks they got it overall. Is that means in the 80 marks in every subject they got it? No. Where the student may get somewhat more than 80 marks in one subject or less than 80 marks in another subject. And then some subjects 80 or 82, 85, 86 or 75, 76. So averagely, that means averagely is nothing but overall combinedly 1% which expresses the total data. That 1% or one number which gives the complete information about the data is the measures of central tendency. So the measures of central tendency enables us to compare two or more distributions pertaining to the same period or within the same distribution over the time. Means we can compare one student with the another student, that one person got 80%, another person got same 80%, but their marks are different, their subjects are different. Like that. So the comparison can be done it easily when we know how much of the percentage of marks per a student. So central tendency is nothing but a central value describes the total data. This is one of the technique which usually we used to do it in our daily life also, even though this is useful for any other situations where we want to compare one with the other. So that central tendency or central value, which we can calculate by means of arithmetic mean, is one, which we learned in the 10th standard itself as a basic things, but now it is required for little bit more also. One is arithmetic mean, that is calculated by adding up all the observations and dividing with the sum of by the number of observations. Resulting will be getting as an arithmetic mean or a mean we can say, which is an average. It is arithmetical average or mathematical average we can call it as. Then second is a median. Median is defined as the value of the middle item or the mean of the values of the two middle items. When the data are arranged in an ascending or descending order of the magnitude, thus it an ungrouped frequency distribution. If the n values are arranged in an ascending or descending order of magnitude, the median is the middle value. If n is odd, when n is even, the median is the mean of the two middle values. Is based on the data, we can say but median is a positional average, we will call it as. The another average is positional average is median and the mode. So to find out the median, what we used to do is the total data is collected and kept it in an ascending order or descending order. Then we'll be finding out the middle value, whichever exactly the middle, when we'll be getting an exactly middle value when the data is in the odd figures. 7, 9, 11, 15, like that odd figures are there. The middle value you'll be getting it. That middle value itself is called as a median. That is based on the position. It is called as an average, as a positional average. If the data is an even, then middle two values you'll be getting is, again, they need to average it, whatever the exactly average after adding and dividing it to, that value is treated as a median. And apart from this, mode is a third positional average. The mode is another measures of central tendency, and it is the value at the point around which the items are most heavily concentrated. Means what? Repeated. Repeatedly a value is out getting it again and again. That value is considered as a mode. Maximum number of times whichever repeats, that is called as a mode. So these are the measures of central tendency as a central value, which describes the complete data which we are collected and observing it based on the information we got and based on the management requires. Till now, whatever we discussed as a theoretical, from the next class onwards, we are going to do the numerical part of all these things. Apart from this measures of central tendency, we have to discuss about the dispersion, skewness, cortices, all those things that we'll discuss in the next class with the numerical part. So then you can understand it easily. Up to this is clear, or anyone having any doubt?
Clear. Can you share this PPT?
Yeah. See, you people, if you message me, then I'll be sharing with you.
Can share in chat.
Yeah. I'll share my number.
Okay.